Hey guys, Stock Saturday, and it's been a pretty good week. Up about just a shade over 5%. Looking rather nice. Still a fairly large cash pile. Comparing to the S&P as well, that has been pretty good. 0.32% down for the S&P. I think it's actually a little bit more than that. This is from Monday's open, of course. I think Friday it was sort of closed a little bit higher than that, so it's never really the week's action. I think it's probably 0.5% maybe. So yeah, 5% up for the week is very much outperforming. So like the Nasdaq's 0.1% up from Monday's open, but I think that is slightly down as well, probably about 0.2% or something. We've had sort of a little bit more volatility, people unhappy with software stocks and how much AI and Anthropic, Claude and things can do. So we've seen all sorts of single stocks, getting whacked after earnings, providing poor guidance, and other stocks sort of getting hit off the back of that, basically. Jumping into some quick news, we got an announcement from Equinox Gold that they're looking to do some buybacks, which is sort of roundabout time for them, I suppose. They sold off their Brazil, South America assets, which I would rather they hadn't. I'd rather they sort of kept them and just made more money and be paying the debt down with that. But they decided to sell it off and pay the debt down, and they're now using cash flow for buybacks. So approximately 5% of their outstanding common shares. So it's quite a large amount. They haven't sort of quite indicated how fast they're going to be looking to buy. They've said it will be limited to 25% of the average daily volume. So there's a kind of a maximum in place, but yeah, basically they're looking to buy up to 5%. So it just gives it that automatic bid and potentially helps the share price. They thought this was the best way to go. I disagree, but it should be good anyway. So this isn't all that surprising off the back of some fairly poor B2 Gold results, even though the stock seems to have bounced back quite strongly since and gone to sort of new highs. The CEO, Clive Johnson, has decided to retire from his role as president and CEO and director of the company. So he was all things. The CFO, Senior Vice President, Finance and Chief Financial Officer, Mike Cinnamond, is going to be stepping up, and they'll have a new CFO that will take his place. And basically, a lot of shareholders were sort of very, very unhappy, me included, with the lack of sort of guidance before the guidance, if you like. They were basically saying everything looks good before issuing that guidance, and then it was pretty poor. And shareholders haven't particularly liked that. Some shareholders have been in an awful lot longer than me, and they're sort of very unhappy that B2 Gold isn't up there with a lot of the other miners. I think it's still way below the sort of 2021 highs, with gold at multiples of where it was back then. Not every miner is doing as well as others, and B2 have their issues in Mali and other sort of issues that they've had expanding, which I've sort of been through with Coeur Mining and then Equinox, and this is kind of my third go round. The other two went pretty successfully in the end, so I kind of thought this would be same again. So far it seems to be going reasonably well, but we'll have to see. The sort of high gold price does seem to paper over a lot of cracks, and yeah, the stock is up since the results. Just a quick look at KGHM's production numbers. I always like to. This is January 2026, first month of the year, and copper is looking slightly up from this time last year, 60,000 tons, pretty good. Silver is down from January last year, but that was quite an anomaly month from what I remember. So we got 128.6 tons this year. That's a very, very strong number, I would say. Sort of annualize that, and you're looking at nearly 50 million ounces. So yeah, very, very strong, and sort of putting them pretty much in line with Fresnillo now. So yeah, not sure they'll keep this going for the rest of the year. Would probably be sort of more like 42 to 46 million ounces, but we'll have to see. But good number nonetheless. Other sort of precious metals down a little bit, but yeah, that's a small part of revenue. So yeah, good January results. So coming to a couple of earnings, I won't spend sort of loads and loads of time on these, but CME Group, one of my sort of favoured, very high profit margin stocks, released their fourth quarter results a little while ago actually, but I thought obviously my gold and silver and sort of larger holdings take precedent. But yeah, balance sheet looking very good. Cash up quite a bit. Sometimes their cash sort of is for market purposes. I mean, you have things like this performance bonds and guarantee fund contributions on the assets and liabilities, exactly the same. But so cash there, I would say, should be their cash. So that's looking good. Short-term debt is gone from this time last year, and long-term debt has increased, so it just looks like a refinancing there. 3.4 billion, so they are net cash, which is very nice. 1 billion, looks, yeah, about 1 billion net cash, so yeah, very strong. And then on income statement, things looking very strong indeed. 1.648 billion total revenue. Market data up quite a bit, and clearing and transaction fees up a reasonable amount as well. Expenses have gone up not quite as much, so that's always good to see. Sort of everything across the board pretty much up a similar amount, but yeah, overall that makes operating income look good. Investment income is up extremely strongly. Whether this is going to be an anomaly quarter, we'll have to see, but that's incredibly strong comparing to sort of full year numbers. 5.7 billion, we've got 1.7 billion for this quarter, so yeah, that's very strong. And then you've got non-operating income, this it sort of counteracts that investment income, so that's grown as well, but investment income has grown significantly larger. So yeah, that does drive net income all the way up to 1.18 billion, which compared to the yearly, it's considerably stronger than, if you annualize that, you're at like 4.55 billion as opposed to 4 billion that they've had for the total year. So very strong. And if we just look at sort of net profit for that quarter, we're looking at 71.7% net profit. So yeah, I think this is probably going to be an anomaly year, but extremely strong. I mean, taking the year's figures, so 4.072 billion divided by 6.52 billion. So yeah, looking at 62.4% net profit for the year. So extremely strong. I suppose some debate about whether some of this, potentially market data and information services and some other revenue could get disrupted by AI. That's the talk at the moment. I don't think clearing and transaction fees are at too much, too much risk. So I would say going forward, this profit is relatively protected. Oh, and they do have an adjusted net income. So for this quarter at least, and just this quarter, it looks like that's being adjusted down. So they've had quite a large unrealized gain on investments. So that gets adjusted out. They've had some other things that they adjust upwards. So amortization of purchased intangibles. Similar to what Broadcom and BlackRock have been doing, sort of digesting acquisitions and things. So I would agree, sort of normally netting that out. 270 million nearly on the annual figures, and then this sort of unrealized gain on investments. That could be a loss in another year. So sort of agree with netting that out. So on the yearly figures, that makes very, very little difference, 4.072 to 4.088. But as I say, this quarter has been quite the anomaly quarter. So down from 1.182 to 1.010. So taking that adjusted net income figure from what did we have? 1.648 billion in revenue, so 61% net profit for the quarter, which is pretty much on schedule for CME. But for the one quarter at least, if we're not adjusting, 71%. I probably agree with go with the adjusted numbers. Another gold and silver miner as well, Pan American Silver, obviously silver in the name, and they do get a little bit of love for silver price going up for having silver in the name, even though they are quite largely in the gold side. If you look at sort of revenue of gold and silver, it's still quite heavy on the gold side. They haven't been sort of expanding their silver as I'd hoped they would. They did sort of make their acquisition this year, but that sort of hasn't pushed them on to where I wanted them to be. But numbers still looking very, very strong. 1.18 billion for the quarter in revenue, and cash flow from operations up from 275 this time last year to 554 million. So obviously very, very strong. Gold and silver prices have changed dramatically from this quarter last year. So yeah, no surprises there. Production numbers fairly poor, I would say. 7.27 million ounces of silver and 197,000 ounces of gold. Obviously the total sort of being they were saying 750 million ounces of gold. They got to 742 this quarter, actually being quite a strong quarter. So finished the year well. It really wouldn't have been a quality year if they hadn't finished the year well. But yeah, I keep sort of going back to it whenever the earnings come out. But they said before making the large acquisition last year, was it, or 2023? They said they wanted to get to 1 million ounces of gold and 30 million ounces of silver, and they've made another acquisition since that, and still are nowhere near 30 million ounces of silver. So yeah, frustrating, but doesn't seem to be as I said with Equinox and B2. Higher prices do paper over a lot of the cracks. So Pan American up to 28 billion market cap now. So very, very strong. And all-in sustaining costs are sort of a little bit all over the place. On the silver side, $9.51. They've sort of had some particularly good byproducts, it seems, from one of the mines we sort of covered in their guidance and production numbers. So yeah, for now it's extremely low all-in sustaining cost, and they'll be making a fortune out of their silver focused mines. Gold segment just shy of $1,700, maybe not ideal, up from $1,521 last year. 16.21 for the year, and $13.88 on the silver side. So it's looking okay. Maybe not the best, but and is sort of a little concerning. I thought that some of their mines are extremely high. I think one of the mines was at $42 all-in sustaining cost on silver, and one was negative. So byproducts sort of coming into that and helping things out. So an average is very, very good, but you get an industrial accident or something in the one that's doing extremely well, then all of a sudden your costs absolutely rocket across the average. So yeah, maybe not as good as it looks for Pan American, and I have been considering selling a little bit more, but I do want to keep as much sort of silver exposure as I can, given that some of my largest positions are Equinox and B2, and they have no silver at all. So my Coeur Mining, Fresnillo, and Pan American might just have to stay, even past what I would consider as fair value. So, quick look at economic news. There wasn't a whole lot Monday or Tuesday. Wednesday we got confirmed CPI for Europe. They sort of give their provisional numbers earlier in the month, so this is just confirmation. But yeah, looking fairly low, really. Core CPI at 2.2%, which is what most countries would dream of. I expect they're probably seeing that as a little bit more concerning, really, potentially, going into or in recession. I think Germany were actually in recession not so long ago. Headline CPI at 1.7%. Obviously, they sort of like the Fed, they tend to focus on core CPI a little bit more. And for the month, what is causing these sort of low numbers? Headline CPI for January at minus 0.6%. So yeah, obviously the monthly is up and down, but yeah, minus 0.6% for the month. Rather surprising. Thursday got job numbers ever so slightly lower, or jobless claims, unemployment claims slightly lower than expected. So yeah, market sort of sees that as strong, maybe a little bit less likely to cut rates. And then today, Friday, we got PPI numbers quite a bit higher than expected. So yeah, that's even less potential to cut interest rates. I don't think we're getting a March cut, and then I think that is Powell's last meeting. There might be one in April as well, and sort of seen as very, very unlikely they're going to cut then as well. So that would be it for Powell. But yeah, no huge surprise there. Got more sort of PMI numbers as well. Chicago PMI at 57.7, very very strong. Construction spending up slightly for December, so all looking good for this grow your way out of recession type trade. Very strong. Fed's GDP now for Q1. Sort of been waiting for Q1 figures rather than Q4. They're at 3%. Sort of expected 3.1, but 3% is still pretty strong. So yeah, that was about it. So portfolio-wise, what is sort of propelling me forward this week and outperforming the market is, unsurprisingly, gold and silver. Coeur Mining up 10. Well, I've got KGHM, Coeur Mining, and Fresnillo, and Equinox Gold all up double digits, sort of 10%, 10%, 11.56% for Equinox Gold. That's helped the options a great deal. Samsung, again and again, just keeps going up, 9%. Pan American, not quite as strong as the others, 6.15%. CME Group up 3. Well, so we got some sort of smaller numbers elsewhere, 3%, 2%, some stuff down. Not a huge amount down, really, considering the sort of bloodbath that some others are seeing. BlackRock is sort of almost at my average price now, 2.8% for the week. Broadcom down 4%, nothing sort of too drastic there. Caterpillar down 2%. I think Deere's down sort of 3 or 4%. I sold that, so yeah, sold at about 660, 658, I think. So yeah, that's looking potentially reasonably well timed. Could obviously go up, but yeah, some sort of small numbers elsewhere. B2 Gold 14.2%. Not really off the back of Clive retiring, but yeah, just gold doing pretty well. Sylvania Platinum as well, sort of platinum and palladium doing quite well, 16.7% nearly. So that's looking good. And obviously with Equinox and B2 Gold both up double digits this week, the options are up sort of multiples of that, 25% on Equinox and 28.9 on B2. So I haven't bought anything this week, I don't think. No. So Hive is down 10%. Stock sort of is down, so the options are down a little, but it's been offset very, very much so by Equinox and B2 and some of the other miners. Nakamoto up 8% from £1.24. That's the holding value, so basically worthless. But yeah, worthless up 8% to worthless, unless we get a 10x in Bitcoin in the next sort of 2 weeks. And yeah, the ETFs have sort of barely moved, really. Nasdaq down, well, the ETF at least down 0.01%. Runs slightly different to the index itself, just from timing wise being on London Stock Exchange. Yeah, very, very sort of small moves. Clean energy down 2.6% and digital security down 1.6%. Nothing sort of too much. Robotics up slightly and emerging markets up slightly. And Bitcoin and Ethereum sort of largely unchanged. Just Bitcoin down over 1%. Ethereum only half. So very little moves in sort of most of my stuff other than gold and silver, which is pretty good. It's going up when the market is down. Can't be bad. So let me know how you guys are doing, and like and subscribe. See you soon.